Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News Second Edition. I'm your host. Let's get right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. What do I have for you today? What do I have for you guys today? Oh, I got something special for you. I got two videos. One's actually kind of short, but it's a foray into until the second video, or into the second video, so it connects. Let's see here. Both videos are brought to us by James Cash. Oh, this is gonna be good. All right, first one. Hold on a second. Let me just to make sure. That should be all right. Okay. First video is let's see here. KOGaming DSP / KOGaming tries it, being mentioned by AlphaOmegaSin. This is from February 18th of 2016. The second video and the last video to round out our broadcast, so to speak, also brought to us by James Cash, is DSP / KOGaming tries it, responding to AlphaOmegaSin and trying to defend himself. This is from February 19th of 2016, so it's literally the day after each other. So I thought this would be an interesting subject because some of you may have heard a little bit about the AlphaOmegaSin situation. Maybe some of you haven't. Maybe you've only heard it mentioned, so on and so forth. So I thought this would be something nice to kind of finish off. This should be the end of the week, theoretically. But this should be something to kind of finish the week off with, and so on and so forth. And I'll look for other... I will try to mix in other videos where Phil has had other problems with other content creators who have responded to him. I'll try to bring you some of those things moving forward, because it's important, to be honest. It's important. The AlphaOmegaSin situation is kind of interesting because, in truth, AlphaOmegaSin should have actually brought up Low Tier God. You'll see what I mean in a minute, but he should have actually mentioned Low Tier God. Now, that doesn't mean that Phil hasn't rage quit. We've all seen this, but Low Tier God would have been a much more fitting, I think a lot of people feel, would have been a much more fitting choice. He would fit the mold of what AlphaOmegaSin was trying to say a lot better than DSP. But tomato, tomato, you take what you can get. Let's see, any PSAs? No, not really. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Stay safe out there. I'm told, excuse me. Actually, I guess I do have, it's not really a PSA, but it's really just some current lore, I suppose. This got sent to me this morning. Apparently Phil has an ear infection, allegedly, and so he's not streaming, or he can't stream, or so on and so forth, and then there's no Axe the King on Thursday. I guess they said they're going to move that back to next week. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this really fast. My suspicions are, one, it's very possible that he could have an ear infection. It's very possible that's a thing. Now I think about it, when it comes to the coronavirus, right, or COVID-19, didn't they say something about like constant ear popping or something like that, or ear infections is a thing is one of the symptoms that people may be exhibiting? Just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to fear monger or anything, but just throwing that out there. If he does have an ear infection, then he has an ear infection. It is what it is. He doesn't bathe often enough, and so on and so forth. There's things that I could see contributing to that. If he does not have an ear infection and he's lying because he doesn't want to stream, well, then what would he be doing? More than likely, at least from what was said to me, more than likely he's grinding on WWE champions, which, excuse me, isn't that far out of the mark. You know, or that far from the mark, I should say. So take that as a thing. This wouldn't be the first time Phil sat there and said I had to take a day off, and all of a sudden we find out that his ranking in WWE champions ain't boosted through the goddamn roof. So it is what it is. Think about it this way: he would have made what, 200? Well, it would have been Axe the King today, so he might have made a couple $100, maybe. But it is what it is. He definitely lost. Yeah, it's Axe the King supposed to be coming up. And then he's not going to be doing Warzone. Like, I think he's going to just outright quit that. He would have definitely made some money during that, too. Oh, well, whatever. It is what it is. But, yeah, I think he's going to skip the last set, or they did skip the last session of Warzone. And, yeah, no Axe the King on Thursday. So, I don't know, rip and pepperoni, I guess. Whatever. It is what it is. Excuse me. I would have said at least he was guaranteed at least $500-600 that day. Or those 2 days, I should say. So that is what that is. No biggie. But that's my general thoughts. I think he's grinding WWE champions because he needs to rebuild his guild. He needs to basically establish his guild. And another screenshot that I saw is there are some high rollers who don't have factions. So if Phil can convince those people to join him, then that might be a good look. You know what I mean? In actuality, he should try to get as many high rollers into the game with him as possible. And then they can go ahead and try to get minions to kind of join after that. If he can just get some respectable high rollers in, then it's a thing. But I hear a lot of guys like going solo. So make of that what you will, I guess. That's all I have to say about Phil. We'll see how, I guess, the next, whenever he decides to come back, we'll see what the pre-stream has to say, and I'm sure that'll be funny. Let's see. Oh, Paul. You guys all know Paul. Paul's a friend of ours. And the link down in the description, you will see a Amazon link to a book called DSP in the Quest of the Golden Boar. If you're interested, please check it out and whatnot. It is the compilation of a bunch of short stories. Well, of one short story that Paul made over the span of like 9 videos and whatnot that he put down in the comment section, and now it's a much more fleshed out story. The Kindle version as well as the paperback is available to you, so it's down in the description for those who are interested, and thank you to those who have already partaken in some of the history of Goutopia. We both very much appreciate it. That's it, guys. I don't have anything else for you guys. Let's just go ahead and get into the funnies, because that's what you guys are here. And I will see you guys. See you guys in a few. Here we go.
Let's see. Oh. Rage quitters. When somebody is gonna sit there and get butthurt over losing in a match and shit, and they're just gonna, miles and miles of...
Now, that sounds a lot like Phil, but let me jump in on this real fast. So we are here, ladies and gentlemen, with James Cash, DSP/KOGaming Tries It, being mentioned by AlphaOmegaSin. This is from February 18th of 2016. Let's get it.
Excuses as to why they're losing, and it can be a million and one different things. It's never a lack of, I don't know, skill. Oh, they don't want to say some shit like that. And then they become fucking Darksydephil, and they just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking cry, or maybe fucking rage quit and get out of there. There's no penalty for that shit. As a matter
now, theoretically, even though, as I said before, this is more fitting to low-tier God than Darksydephil, he's not necessarily wrong, if you think about it. Because Phil is the type of person to where if he feels that he lost unjustly, he won't rematch and he just leaves, or he'll just boot out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or he'll just drop a lobby. He's kind of known for that, to be honest. So I wouldn't say it's a completely unfair description, but whatever. Tomato, tomato. Yet again, low tier. I do acknowledge though that low tier God would have been a much better example.
Like that. And them rage quitting can actually gonna help them. And I think that's some fucking bullshit. How the fuck are you gonna overlook something like that? That's not a very easy oversight to ignore.
Oh yeah. Let me paint the picture of this. So this is like in the early stages. This is before like Rage Quit Hell was actually implemented for Street Fighter V. As you know, that's a thing now. But because if you've watched any low tier God compilations, you've seen that shit. That's why he has so many accounts. But Rage Quit. This is before Rage Quit Hell was a thing, right? Where you could go ahead and exit out, and you wouldn't have any type of penalties to your points, or be thrown into or be penalized in your account in any way, shape, or form. Now, if you do it too many times, they'll either just suspend your account temporarily. But before that, I think they used to just match you up with other rage quitters, which is what Rage Quit Hell was, which is fucking amazing. There's some amazing compilations of people yelling and screaming at each other about that shit on YouTube if you're ever interested in seeing it. So AlphaOmegaSin was speaking on and on before Rage Quit Hell was established, that there need to be some type of criteria put in place. If not, the game's just going to run rampant. And he wasn't wrong. And he wasn't the only one to say it. There's a bunch of people who actually kind of said it. But I think AlphaOmegaSin was probably one of the loudest at that time. And like I said, I think he made a fair point. Like I said, I just think that he had better options. But then again, in AlphaOmegaSin's defense, which he doesn't need, and he can stand up for himself, Phil has a history of it. So he just went with what he knew. He probably, low tier God probably wasn't on his radar yet. You know what I mean? If you think about it. So, you know, DSP is a good person to jump to because he's been around for a long ass time. He has a lot of videos. Street Fighter 4, which in a lot of ways built DSP Gaming, also is one of the reasons why, is also one of his biggest detriments. You know what I mean? Because there are so many videos up there of him bitching and complaining and losing and dropping matches and shit like that, and rage quitting out, that it's silly. It's silly. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, you did.
Now, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, now is the portion of the video that I'm sure many people will be coming to watch.
My bad. I actually spoke over a lot of that, so I'm going to play it again without you guys actually hearing me talk and whatnot, and then we'll get into what is the main event, no pun intended, which is this video here.
Let's see. Rage quitters. When somebody is going to sit there and get butthurt over losing in a match and shit, and they're just going to, you know, miles and miles of excuses as to why they're losing, and it can be 1,000,001 different things. It's never a lack of, I don't know, skill. Oh, they don't want to say some shit like that. And then they become fucking Darksydephil, and they just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking cry, or maybe fucking rage quit and get out of there. There's no penalty for that shit. As a matter of fact, and them rage quitting can actually gonna help them. And I think that's some fucking bullshit. How the fuck are you gonna overlook something like that? That's not a very easy oversight to ignore, yet you did.
Now, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, now is the...
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now we're here for the main event. Excuse me. Let's see here. Let's see. DSP / KOGaming tries it, responding to AlphaOmegaSin and trying to defend himself. This is from February 19th of 2016. February 19th of 2016. This video, as well as the previous one, are both by James Cash. The link to both of those videos, will be down in the description. I recommend that when you get a chance to check them out. And definitely check out the comment section. You'd be surprised who's in there and what they had to say at the time. So, especially since this is, 4+ years old. So, that's something to think about. Alright, here we go.
Portion of the video that I'm sure many people will be coming to watch. I have to publicly address something. I addressed it on Twitter last night. Okay? And I'm not going to put up with this shit at this point. Alright? You might be saying, what the hell is going on? What is Phil talking about? Okay? I'm going to address it very generally here, although there's one person I'm going to specifically address. But in general, over the past several years, some popular YouTubers have taken upon themselves to name drop me in their videos, on Twitter, in many different fashions, always in a negative light. It would be, one thing if, someone wants to talk about me and say, oh, Phil's covering Street Fighter 5 or whatever, but no, it's always got to be in a negative light, right? Now, the bottom line is, if you actually watch my stuff, right?
Now, first things first, he has been named... Excuse me, the coof. Phil has been name dropped by some pretty big names. You know what I mean? Going from, Jim Sterling to Total Biscuit, a few PewDiePie. He's been name dropped by a lot of people, believe it or not. More than I can really even think of at the moment. They all did it for a reason. Or they all had, justifiable reason on why they did it. Which should tell you, one, how much reach, or no, not how much reach, how far Phil's name, at his detriment, by the way, reached in gaming circles, I should say, in the early days of YouTube, which is one of the reasons why he's been tainted now. Even before detractors, to be honest. I make that argument. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I also want you guys to remember that Phil basically wage quit Project 7, or Project 7 rebooted for Street Fighter 5, only to give up on Street Fighter 5 later. So one of the major and most pivotal pieces of evidence of Phil being a very a disingenuous, untrustworthy person and just an out-and-out liar, right? Which is him ripping people off on Project 7 for, I don't know, $6,000 or $7,000. He ended up giving up for a game that he didn't even play. That I don't even know if he even played it for a full year, or for its first year life cycle, I should say. And now almost exclusively refuses to play it. He completely and totally fucked himself on that Project 7 thing, which he probably wasn't going to do anyway, for Street Fighter V, because he was under some type of disillusion that Street Fighter V was going to be like the rebirth of Super Turbo, and screwed himself on 2 accounts. He didn't come through on Project 7, which fucked his reputation to this day and any other real credibility that he has, not only amongst his fan base, but amongst other content creators and whatnot. Essentially, he tainted Patreon, not only for himself, but for people who are starting up in some ways. You know what I mean? Now, don't be wrong, the point of Patreon, if you have Patreon perks or goals, is to come through on those goals. That's what people are paying for you to do. Phil completely took that, shitted on it, and threw it back in people's face, which you could see why people would be distrusting of it. Sadly. And then, as it pertains to Street Fighter V, because he didn't do enough coverage over it, and he didn't stick with it even to this day, he doesn't have a strong enough following. You know what I mean? Like, Street Fighter V can bring in views. It's going to have to, until a new game is developed. And because of his inability to play it, because he doesn't understand it, he doesn't want to learn new mechanics, and so on and so forth, he's missed out on crazy money. He's missed out on crazy viewership and crazy opportunities. Let me give you an example. Do you guys remember back in 2018, when the Twitch bounty leaderboards were a big thing, right? And remember when I did a video on this on the main channel, when the leaks came out, when one of the big content creators on Twitch leaked their bounty board. Street Fighter V was on that bitch. And I think it was like $4,000 an hour to play it. Now, granted, Phil wasn't going to make that type of money. He doesn't have that viewership. But we have a game that's easily accessible to him, because he owns it, that he could have played and made a couple $100, an hour off of it, and refused to play it because he's a goddamn nut. And then turned around and said, oh, I can't play on the bounty boards, or I'm banned from the Twitch bounty leaderboards because of detractors. Yet he can't prove it. Or he won't prove it, I should say. He won't prove it. So these right here are just some of the steps that Phil has taken with his air quote business, and how he's fucked himself over. All over Street Fighter V. All of it over. Instead of walking into Street Fighter V with an open mind, right? Like any rational individual. He somehow convinced himself, or someone else did, that it was going to be the rebirth of Super Turbo. And he's been waiting for that because he thinks that's going to be that's going to be the point that's going to allow him to live his past glories, right? And even though it wasn't very glorious, to say the least. And because he didn't have an open mind, and he already had like a pre-notion going into it, and then he was disappointed that it didn't work that way, and he has to learn all kinds of other new shit, he went ahead and just gave it up. Which is even more ironic in a lot of ways, because, there's so much that he really doesn't know about Super Turbo, even though he's been playing it for like 20 plus years, that you would think that right there would frustrate him even more than his inability to play Street Fighter V. You've been playing a game for 20 plus years, and you know you're barely what's the word I'm looking for? Or what's the phrase I'm looking for? He has barely graduated through the basics of Super Turbo. There's so much advanced shit that you can see videos on YouTube, for example, that he can't accomplish, that he doesn't even know about. You know what I mean? Like, he's barely past average. And his knowledge is non-existent. It's pretty much what you see Phil do are basics for the most part. You know what I mean? With a little bit of elevation here or there. But essentially it's all basics. That's why he gets eaten up the way he does. You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. That's just a personal opinion. But there's something to think about. He lost quite a bit over that Street Fighter V fiasco and that Project 7 thing. If he had done those things right, yes, it'd have been two things that wouldn't be used against him, but there's certainly two stab wounds, so to speak, that he wouldn't have to worry about recovering from. You know what I mean? Metaphorically speaking.
I've been around the block. I've been on YouTube since 2007. Started really covering stuff in depth in 2008. All right, and over all those years, every once in a while I'll bring up another YouTuber, and when I do, typically it's actually in a positive light. over 1 or 2 YouTubers that have pissed me off for stuff that they've done, and I've called them out on it. Alright? It's been a long time. You know, Toby Turner. How long has it been since I mentioned his name? Because he stayed out of my shit. There was one moment, like 6 years ago, where his advertisements on YouTube were being spammed on my gameplay videos.
He couldn't help that. He makes this. I should have brought up Toby Turner, Justine, Tobuscus, and all that shit. By the way, with the Toby Turner situation, he had nothing to do with. Mitch Dyer and whatnot. But anyway, he had nothing to do with any of that shit. Toby Turner had nothing to do with advertisements of his channel being put on your video. He can't help that. It's not like he was like, yeah, single out Darksydephil. Single him out. I want that. I want all his viewership. Because that's the way Phil tries to spin it. He tries to spin it as, oh, I was doing so well 6 years ago that Toby Turner singled me out to put his ads on my video. And that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you are... Fuck it. He was a channel that was being viewed, right? So it only makes sense that whoever is Toby Turner's PR, right, or whoever it was that was in charge of the advertising, are going to slap it on a bunch of machinima videos of content creators that are bringing in views. Pure and simple. Pure and simple. And it's not like, and I understand most people are like, oh, well, don't you think that's a bit detrimental to have what Phil would consider competition, but in actuality it's peers, but same shit, I guess. You guys are, I guess you, if you want to look at it, you were competing for views. Don't you feel that's a bit detrimental to have someone else being advertised on your channel? I guess it depends on how serious you want to take yourself. At the end of the day, this is business. This is a thing. Cross-branding, even though this isn't cross-branding. Excuse me. Cross-branding, so to speak. Actually, it is kind of cross-branding, kind of. But anyway, cross-branding is a thing. At least to an extent. But that right there isn't a major detriment to his views. Phil thinks it is because if you have someone who's more entertaining and who has more talent than him, and that person's being flashed across their screen, he's thinking, oh shit, well, they're going to immediately leave me and go to them. Well, that's funny, Phil, because if you have so much talent and if so many people are invested in you and love you, air quotes, love you so much, then they'll still watch your shit and should be able to go off and watch somebody else's shit. But see, that is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big secret. That right there is the snort in the bottle, if you will. He can't afford to have people in his fan base watch other people because then they can hold Phil to a higher standard. And Phil doesn't want to do that. I was going to say he can't. He can't live up to that standard. But in actuality, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to compete. You know what I mean? He wants to just kind of move along like the slug that he is. And that is one of the biggest detriments to Phil. Phil is his biggest detriment. He is his greatest detractor, as I've said. And that's really what it comes down to with the whole Toby Turner situation. You know what I mean? He didn't want somebody else who has more talent and who can draw people in to go over there. And more importantly, he didn't want to be forced to step his own game up. That sounds like two personal problems that don't have shit to do with Toby Turner, as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, instead of him attacking Toby Turner, he should have reached out to whoever the advertising company was, or whoever, or YouTube, or Machinima, or whatever, and let them deal with that. Instead of attacking another content creator who has nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? But that's how big Phil's ego was. That's how much anger that Phil ain't built up for some of these other content creators who've been successful doing what he allegedly is so unique and only he could do. That's the reality. That's the reality for a lot of the reason why he attacks other people. Ninja, PewDiePie, Markiplier. He went after all these different people, Maximilian to some extent. He ain't sat there and gone after all these people because they are way more talented than he is. They have a lot of charisma. They have a lot of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They're approachable. They're likable. You know what I mean? Things that Phil isn't. Phil isn't a likable person. I know people want to keep giving him credit and saying that, oh, well, Phil can be a likable person, so on and so forth. That's, you know, that's cool if that's how you want to feel about it. But in actuality, Phil's not a likable person. And Phil, by proxy, is very antisocial. He hates people. Unless you serve a purpose, he doesn't need you. And he doesn't really want you. He's just willing to deal with you. He's willing to put up with you. So for a lot of the people who say, you know what, Phil's an alright guy, you just don't know. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I can't condemn you for that. But that's the reality. All these people didn't turn against Phil, because I'm not a fan of his. I never was. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm telling you from an outside perspective. But for all these people who were former fans of his to turn against him, they must have all did it for a reason. I understand everybody wants to run to, oh, it's just a pack mentality. There's a lot of people who dislike Phil. And granted, there's a lot of people who dislike Phil who just X'd themselves out of that situation and didn't become detractors. They just moved the fuck on. So how do you explain that? It's very easy to go ahead and attack the attack dogs, if you will, right, who attack Phil. That's fair. But what about the ones who just chose to just walk away? Who are the ones that just told him, I don't want to be on either one side. I've given too much time to all of this. I'm just done. I'm just going to walk away. How do you explain that? And that number right there may be bigger than the detractor numbers. So what do you have to say about that? For example, we can talk about that more as we go along.
And I got pissed off and I called him out for it. He actually apologized on Twitter, and then he bitched out of actually talking to me about it man to man, which I wanted to do.
First off, Toby Turner shouldn't apologize for shit because he didn't do nothing wrong. Two, what the fuck do I need to talk to you man to man for, bitch? I don't owe you shit. I had nothing to do with that. I'll talk to some people I'll talk to some people and see if I can get it worked out. Done. That's the end of the story. Unless I need some type of information from you or whatnot, I don't need to speak to you. And the fuck did Phil think that Toby Turner owed him a talk, a sit down, if you will? Like he's fucking the Piggy Mafia and shit. And it's like, yeah, we need to have a sit down. We need to straighten all this out. Since about what, bitch? About what? Were you going to try to shame him, Phil, into giving you a shout-out on his channel? Eye for an eye, snort for a snort? I bet you that's what it was going to be. Phil was going to ask him for some type of compensation. I guarantee it. Because Phil's just enough of a bitch to be like, oh, you slighted me, so you owe me something. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he would ask Toby Turner for cash. I don't think he has enough gall to do that. He can just do that from his pay piggies for sympathy. I think he was going to be like, hey, you know, your ads for your shit have been running on my videos for a while. I think you need to go ahead and you should be shouting me out. You need to shout me out on Twitter and on a couple of your videos that get millions and millions of hits and whatnot as compensation. You make that happen and then, you know, I think we'll be squared away. I think that's what Phil was going for. And he didn't get it, and he's been mad about it ever since because this was his one opportunity. Excuse me. Well, not one opportunity, but this was a major opportunity where he could get some big-time promotion, right? And he had handled the whole situation poorly. You attacked the guy, right? Forced him into... I mean, I don't know. I don't watch Toby Turner, so I don't care. Allegedly forced him into an apology, and then you want to talk to him behind the scenes to go ahead and guilt him into promoting you on his channel. I guarantee you Phil was going for that. I guarantee it. Because that's the best type of compensation. Because Phil needed a look. And he needed a big one. And that was going to be his way of doing it. I guarantee you that's probably what he was going for. And when it didn't happen, he ain't been mad and butthurt about it every goddamn year since. Because it was his one opportunity and he fucked it up from the beginning. Because he's not a people person. He's not a people person. He yells out in vengeance. He yells out in anger. He yells out in ignorance. And then, once he gets his apology, okay, now it's time for you to start squaring shit up. So now I shitted on you publicly. I got my apology because apparently Phil gets off on that. Flap, 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 flap. And then he's like, yeah, now you're going to need to do this for me behind the scenes. Now you need to do this. Well, sorry. Now I need to talk to you behind the scenes. I'm going to guilt trip you. And I need you to do this for me publicly. And that's what you're going to do. And Toby Turner was like, man, you better get up off that. You better go back and suck Machinima's dick for that. I don't need to do you no favors. And why would Toby Turner want to talk to him anyway after he had sat there and shit talked to him on Twitter? Why the fuck would Toby Turner owe him a sit down? Why would he owe him another minute of his time? Especially for something that Toby Turner didn't even do. It wasn't his fault. Anyway, just something to think about.
But it is what it is. I mean, here we are in 2016, and who the hell even talks about Toby Turner anymore, right? So who gives a shit? But for the most part, I don't bother with this kind of shit because I'm busy with my own stuff. You know me. I'm here every day on stream. I'm uploading gameplay videos. I'm editing gameplay videos. I don't have time for this fucking name-dropping drama shit. I just don't. The problem is that at this point, it's now become such a big thing that people think it's funny to name-drop DSP or Darksydephil in a negative light. And it would be one thing if people knew what the fuck they were talking about, but 95% of the time they don't. 95% of the time, they're addressing some bullshit. Alright? They're addressing some kind of crazy bullshit that is based off of a negative video that was made about me that's usually one-sided and completely false in the scheme of things. You know, it's pretty silly. You ever see these campaign videos for people who are in fucking politics, and they'll take something that a politician said, you know, a million years ago, and they'll say, this person had this stance 5-7 years ago, and now they've completely flippity-flopped. And then you find out that it was like something out of context or whatever. That's kind of what people do to me, alright? Now, not to say that I haven't had any kind of issues with drama, right? And not to say that I'm the best gamer on the planet. And certainly not to say that I have not done a lot of the things that people accuse me of doing, or that, you know, I haven't done negative things in the past. I wholeheartedly fess up to it because guess what? I upload all of...
Wait a second, real fast. So they announced a new Assassin's Creed? Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Damn it, when are they going to take this shit to Japan? I mean, I understand we're going with the Viking thing. That seems kind of cool. And it's going to have, like, because I assume after the last God of War, they're trying to, you know, I can understand them wanting to at least try to get a little bit of that. But goddamn, dude, when are they going to take that shit to Japan, though? Alright. Well, it's probably going to be still a good game, so. Sorry about that break.
it to YouTube myself, right? It's not like there's some behind-the-scenes controversy about DSP that he's been hiding from the public, and all of a sudden it's come out, DSP exposed. No. Everything that you need to know about me is public. Since 2008, I've shared my life with you on a daily basis. You know all about me if you watch my stuff. There's nothing really to fucking hide. Let's face it here. Okay? So, the reason that I'm bringing all this up, I mean, I could bring up literally dozens of YouTubers who have negatively name-dropped me just to be, oh, we gotta jump on the DSP hate bandwagon for cheap laughs and views and har har har. And it's a fucking super bitch tactic, because the bottom line is if these guys had anything interesting to fucking say for themselves, they just focus on that. They focus on their own positive content rather than trying to bring down others with fucking insults and negativity. But a lot of people don't have that kind of quality. They don't have that kind of talent. And so they have to be negative about shit all the time, and that's how they get a name for themselves, alright? I at least like to think that I balance myself. Yes, there's times when I'm negative about shit, in particular this week with Street Fighter V and how bad the online connections have been. I openly admit I've been very negative about it. But on the flip side of that, when the game's working, I'm very positive, right? And there's tons of stuff that I've done, games I love, super positive. I've got that balance. And by the way, when I am honest about stuff, I'm not hurting anyone, because I'm not pulling shit out of my ass, right? And I'll be honest, again, back in the day, we're talking 5-6 years ago, when I was relatively new to the internet and YouTube, I was misinformed about a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of really...
You still are. Most of your complaints are based off your own personal opinion. And that personal opinion is kind of misskewed a little bit when, come to find out, you're not running your air quotes business properly. Like his internet connection, for example, is total shit. And instead of having a technician come in and handle it, oh, well, just give me some patchwork and we'll work it out. And I'll live with that. Instead of letting a technician come in and actually get the shit squared away. This is your business. You're paying all this money for a business line that barely works, or is not working efficiently, or it's not working the way, I mean, essentially you purchased it to. You're paying for a service and you're not even getting the full benefits of the service. But Phil's okay with that because he doesn't want to be inconvenienced. But he'll go ahead and take the day off for, allegedly, WWE champions. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, shit like that don't make no sense. And he can't say that, oh, what I say doesn't hurt anybody. If you shit talk a fucking company, a game publisher, a game, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some of the wheelchair symbols that you have over there are not going to be inclined and going to get that game. And this, this is bullshit, because in our current year, 2020, he has admitted that he said a lot of stuff. He said a lot of stuff in the past that could have been detrimental because he didn't appreciate the type of influence that he had. So this is already bullshit. But the point being is that because he feels that he's being attacked, you know what I'm saying? We can skew the story the way we want to make it say, like, yeah, I say a lot of stuff and whatever, and so on and so forth, but I'm not actually hurting anybody when I'm saying it. It's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I'm not actually hurting anybody. When these people say stuff about me, that hurts me. How do you figure? When it's the exact same thing. AlphaOmegaSin, to a degree, is slightly misinformed. Not really misinformed, but he could have just used a better example. But whatever. He could have chosen a better example to fit his narrative a little bit better. You spew shit out your ass with half information most of the time, or just being blatantly wrong because you're talking out of emotion, because he's only talking about his personal experience and assumes that everybody else has that same experience. Does that not make you misinformed under reasonable circumstances? Now, everybody messes up on something sometimes, most of the time, or every once in a while. And that's all right. And if they get called out on it, then you take that in stride and you become better from it. Phil don't do that. You call him out for being wrong, he says fuck you. Not say, okay, can you point me to this? Or can you show me this? Or can you tell me where you got your information from? Oh, well, that's what I read, or that's what was told to me, so fuck you. So how informed is he really? And if you're only reading a post on Twitter, right, and not going to the link where the actual web page is, where the link to the web page that actually flushes out the whole article, and if you're not reading that, then how much do you really know? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, which is the reason why I say he's definitely misinformed on a lot of shit because he's pulling his information from Twitter. The reason why that is because he's not even utilizing Twitter the way he should. Excuse me. He just takes what little bit he reads. He doesn't want to click a link or anything. He just takes what little bit he reads and just runs with it. And that's not enough. And then you're going to the rest of these people, the 200 or 300 people that are watching, occasionally 4. And now you're going ahead and spewing that off, and then he's getting mad at his own chat because people are like, yeah, you don't have that whole story. Or, nah, that right there is kind of outdated. Or, I don't think you really know what you're talking about. I think that's just something that you've interpreted. Every little attack on him, you need to be expunged. You need to be, you need to get the fuck up and out of there. Because he doesn't want to be questioned. So he would rather be wrong and continue to walk around and be wrong than to admit, okay, I was wrong. Please inform me. He would rather do that. But then again, we're going ahead and hanging off Papa Vera's nuts whenever Minecraft comes around. Because without Papa Vera, he's lost. He wants to go fishing when Papa Vera ain't there. And then when that first cheer from Papa Vera show up, okay guys, time to get to work. Well, get this vest for me first. Let me put my hoe outfit on first. And then let's get to work. Just something to think about. Just putting it out there.
Uninformed opinions about stuff like Minecraft, right? I used to hate Minecraft. Oh my god, Minecraft is a horrible game for little kids and it's ruining the internet, right? And now here we are in 2016. I've played the game, I understand the appeal of the game, and I've grown a lot as a person. So I can certainly understand, being misinformed and talking out of your asshole, because I've done it in the past, but I certainly don't understand it when you're someone who's a popular YouTuber, you've got a big following, and now you're going to literally talk out of your own fucking colon about something you have no fucking knowledge of what any of it even means.
That's the same thing you just admitted to doing, though. Whatever.
Alright. So let's be real here. Earlier this week, a YouTuber by the name of AlphaOmegaSin put out a vlog, which is pretty much the meat of what he does. He just stands there and rages at the camera, or geeks out at the camera. He does both, dependent on the situation. Basically, he covers gaming news stories, and he covers other stuff too. He's one of these gaming, well, not really gaming, but just kind of drama vlogging YouTubers, where all he really does is stand at the camera and cover current events. Now, he does other stuff too. Alright, he does gaming and stuff, but that's not his primary focus. And he's got a big following for covering controversial topics and typically raging at these topics, screaming at the top of his lungs, and calling people out and swearing at the camera, yada yada yada. I don't watch his stuff.
Didn't Phil just say recently? Didn't someone ask Phil recently, hey Phil, why do you swear so much? Could you try to cut that out? Can you go without swearing? Oh, well, I swear because, you know, that's how I get my frustration out. It's just it's a natural and healthy way, maybe not the healthy part, but it's a natural way of me just kind of, you know, getting out my frustration. But yet he's right here drowning, or trying to drown AlphaOmegaSin because he's someone who just rages and curses at the camera. Huh. Growth, though. He's matured. That's why he's doing it.
I don't watch anyone's stuff on YouTube, so that's not negative to him. I don't watch anyone's stuff on YouTube. I'm too busy with my own stuff. But when
I don't watch anybody on YouTube, I'm too busy with my own stuff. Keep that in mind, because we've heard that plenty of times before.
I get about, you know, 100 emails from people saying, Phil, why is AlphaOmegaSin talking shit about you in this video? And I watched the video, and for a good 30 seconds, the guy goes on a ranting tangent about rage quitters in video games, doesn't even really apparently understand what it even means to rage quit in a video game, and then he name drops me as the example, like the poster boy for rage quitting in video games. I have to speak up. Okay? I have to. And the bottom line is this, alright?
Wait, now keep in mind, when AlphaOmegaSin was talking about that, he was talking about fighting games, Street Fighter V in particular. But if you really go back and think, how many video games now? I want you to think about this. Video games. How many video games has Phil rage quit over the years? There's a list out there with what? 300-400 games on it? Isn't there like a 7.5 hour absolute fucking masterpiece of every game that Phil has rage quit? I'm pretty confident there is, actually. So, in actuality, he is very much a rage quitter. Now that I think about it, now that I really think about it, I was already on AlphaOmegaSin's side with this, except for the fact that there was better examples. But I still kind of understand his premise. It was outdated, it was expired, but I still understand his premise. But let's look at it from the big picture, though. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and give ourselves the full view here. Phil has rage quit hundreds of games. And like I said, only within the last year or two, someone made a video that's about 7 hours. It's over 7 hours long. It's worth it, though. It's absolutely worth it, though. There's like a 7-hour video out there of Phil that someone painstakingly put together of all of Phil's rage quits. I'm pretty confident. Huh. Well, see, that kind of clinches it. If I can find that video, I'll link it down below. At least if I can find it. Or if someone else finds it, they can link it. But, yeah, if I find it, I'll put it into I'll try to put it in the, I'll put it in the description. If you got a couple hours for the next couple days that you have to burn, this video is a good video to watch. For sure.
I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore from anyone. I don't give a fuck how big you are on YouTube. You have no right to name drop me in a negative light and be completely fucking wrong. It's one thing if you want to call me out on something that I've actually done, right? But don't come at me with fucking bullshit like this. Because the bottom line is it hurts me and it hurts my business. Because now anyone who watches AlphaOmegaSin's videos is going to say, oh, Darksydephil, he's that infamous fucking rage quitter. Why would I ever watch him play Street Fighter V? Keep in mind, I put out tons of awesome coverage of Street Fighter V.
Keep in mind, he ended up rage quitting Street Fighter V in the end anyway. So no matter what, AlphaOmegaSin still was right, but whatever.
This week, and no rage quitting, because that's not what it fucking is. So let's address it. Alright, let's address it. For about 30 seconds, he has a whole video about how bad Street Fighter V is, okay? And even though he wasn't very concise about it, he has a point. I've complained just as much about Street Fighter V this week, how non-functional it is, how, how many problems the game has. And in the video...
I mean, just how non-functional it is? You couldn't name off anything else. Saying how many problems it has kind of is the overall point of the argument. So what's the actual issue you have with it? It's just non-functional. That's it. Sure, AlphaOmegaSin probably went ahead and raffled off a little bit more than just that. But yeah, we're going to talk about whose videos, I should say, or whose complaints. Let's say that. My bad. Let's reword it. Whose complaints are a bit more concise. I want you to think about this. Yet the only thing he can throw at you is non-functional. I mean, I could say you're non-functional. I could say your wife on her back is non-functional. I could say a lot of things that are non-functional. You want to go ahead and elaborate on that, though? A little bit more? Maybe? No? Okay. Can't ask everybody for everything.
For about 30 seconds, he addresses rage quitting. Now, the point that he's trying to make is that if you rage quit an online match of Street Fighter V, there's no penalty for it. So allow me to explain what rage quitting is in a fighting game so that there's no messed up conceptions here, okay? Let's talk about it. In a fighting game, when you're playing a fighting game online, and you rage quit, what it means is that you're in a match, typically a ranked match. It could be a casual match, although somewhat in a casual match doesn't really matter because there's nothing really being measured in a casual match. If you lose a casual match in most fighting games, it doesn't affect anything. No ranking.
It doesn't matter. Don't skew that. Don't skew that at all. Whether you're in matched, whether you're in ranked, or whether you're playing with a friend of yours right next to you. If you quit, that's a rage quit. If you quit, if you're getting your ass handed to you, and you decide to go ahead and throw your controller down, that's a rage quit. If you're in a casual match and you get your ass handed to you, right, and you want to go ahead and you decide to go ahead and get mad at like towards the very end of that match, and decide to bitch out of that lobby, that's a rage quit. Well, it's kind of a rage quit. If you rage the match, I would say that's a rage quit. And then in ranked, same concept as the casual. Second first, the same as the verse. If you quit out of the match, you've rage quitted. Or if most of the time, especially in Street Fighter V, people believe in this, the 2 out of 3 concept, you know what I mean? You know, the run back, basically, your salty run backs. If you choose not to, if you play a person once and get your ass handed to you, and they go ahead up for the rematch and you don't, that's considered a rage quit. The reason why I say that is because Phil has considered that as a rage quit. He's done that in Super Turbo. Or he did that in Collector's Edition. He did it for Super Turbo, and he did it for the Nintendo Switch version. Whenever no one gave him a run back, and they quickly left his lobby, he considered that as a rage quit. So let's not go ahead and try to skew shit. Now, in actuality, let's be honest now. In actuality, I consider at least, I think it's generally accepted that a rage quit is if they quit within the match. That's considered a rage quit. Pure and simple. If I won a round, you won a round, round 3 goes, and you're like halfway on your bar and you're like, fuck this, and you're out, that's a rage quit. That's what that is. You know what I'm saying? Or when the match first starts and, you know, first couple seconds ain't working out for you and you quit, that's a rage quit. That's what that is. But people have tried to evolve and kind of expand on that over time and made it all into some of this extra stuff. Take of it what you will, but that's what an actual rage quit is. When you actually quit the match in process or progress. Thank you. That's what that is. So, whatevs. And yet again, Phil has done that. So, yet again, he can't sit there and say he's never done that ever, because he has done that. But whatever.
Or anything are negatively affected. Okay. So, in regards to an online fighting game, if you're playing a ranked match and you're losing, all right, you're going to lose the match. So basically when you lose, your rank's going to go down, you're going to lose ranking points, whatever the hell it is. Instead of letting the match finish and basically taking your licks and accepting your loss, you quit the internet. So whether you pull the Ethernet cord out the back of your console, whether you shut the game down, whatever means it is, and it's different for different games too. There's different ways.
You could have just said dashboarding. People know what that is.
Rage quit. Basically, you quit out of the match before the results of that match can be recorded in the online servers, and there's no negative penalty put against you. And it's equally frustrating because the person who won doesn't get credit for their win either.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Actually, Phil is right. Actually, to an extent. In the early days of Street Fighter V, if you didn't stay for the very end of the match, like let's say you stay till the very end of the match and then the results come up. If you rage quitted out of that, then you wouldn't have any negative penalty. He actually is right about that. I forgot that was actually a thing for a while. Yikes. Is it like that now? It's been so long since I played Street Fighter V.
Okay? So, the bottom line is, it's a bad practice. It's nasty. It's cowardly.
But it doesn't matter, though, if it's ranked or casual. It really don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, though, a rage quit is still a rage quit. It doesn't matter what mode you're doing it in. Like when Phil rage quitted out of that tournament mode that he was in for Tekken. You know what I'm saying? Even though he lost and he couldn't play anymore anyway and it was going to the finals. That's still kind of a rage quit. Like, there's a bunch of other people who took their licks and they're still in it to the very end to see who wins. You know, you kind of should be sticking around. That'd be a good sportsman. You know what I mean? You're in a tournament and you play the tournament to the very end. You know, it is what it is. But then again, Phil also has a bit of a history of losing in a tournament and then stomping off to his room and shit like a bitch. So, you know, it all goes hoof and hoof.
It's dishonest. It's fucking really just a way to prove that you're a bitch and you can't man up and actually play a fighting game and take a loss. Okay? And I am staunchly against it. I've always been staunchly against rage quitting. In fact, if you watch the thousands upon thousands of fighting game videos that I have released across the internet, you will be very hard pressed to find me rage quitting. Now, some people don't know what rage quit actually means and they make shit up. And they'll be like, oh, well, it's if you just give up. No, that's wrong. Because at least if you're playing the game and you take your loss, the other person gets credit for the win. There have been times when I'm playing online games and I'm frustrated. The connection's absolutely terrible. Or, in particular, there's a character who online is incredibly abusable because of the online lag between when you're doing stuff with your actual controller and when it actually takes effect in the game. And there have been matches where I just give it up and I'm like, whatever, just beat me. I don't give a shit. That's not a rage quit. And if you say it is...
That is kind of a rage quit because you're in a fighting game and you're supposed to be fighting to the end. That is kind of a rage quit. So what the fuck are you talking about?
You're a fucking moron. That's not what a fucking rage quit is. A rage quit in a fighting game...
It actually is. It is very much a rage quit. To be honest. See, Phil's trying to skew it to where, excuse me, a rage quit has to have a negative effect on somebody else, on the person who's winning, right? That's why he was like, oh, in casual it doesn't really matter, but in ranked it does. No, a rage quit is a rage quit. It's a mentality. You know what I'm saying? It's a frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? When you choose not to continue fighting because you've already accepted that you're going to lose and you're mad about it. That's what the rage quit is.
Is when you quit out of the match to stop that match from being recorded on the online servers and cheating everyone out of credit for the match. Now, the reason why this is a big issue in Street Fighter V is because there is no penalty in Street Fighter V for doing it. You can go play ranked matches right now in Street Fighter V, be ready to lose, and immediately just rage quit out of the match. You will not be penalized, and your rank doesn't go down. So right now, there's a lot of controversy because people are feeling that the top-ranked people playing Street Fighter V actually didn't earn those rankings, that they probably lost a ton along with the wins that they have, but the losses aren't being recorded because they're quitting out. Okay? So that's the big issue, the big controversy about Street Fighter V. Why was there no penalty instituted for rage quitting? And I agree, that is horrendous. It's complete lack of foresight by the game developers to think that they don't need to include some kind of a fail-safe so people don't just quit out of every ranked match when they lose. Now the bottom line is, does any of it matter? No. Because no one gives a fuck about online rankings in the game. But these kids who play these...
What the fuck are you talking about? You care about online rankings in the game. That's why he won't play. That's why he won't play Super Turbo, or sorry, Street Fighter Collections. That's why he won't play ranked anymore. That's why you see his ass hovering through hovering in casual now. He says he can't do it because of the connection. The connection's so bad. But he complains about the connection in casual too. He left ranking because he didn't like the fact that he was getting beat up and he couldn't defend himself, and beating up on scrubs wasn't helping either. Because after a while, some of the scrubs that were on the come up, quote unquote, were starting to hand him his ass too, and he was falling more and more into the ranks, or he was falling lower and lower into the ranks. That's the reason. So he's too scared to play gold, to make his way up to gold, which he's almost there. And while he was in gold, he was getting beat the fuck up. So he dropped back. I think he dropped back into silver, and he's been hovering in silver ever since. And that's why he won't go back and play ranked. He says the ranked mode is fucked up, but apparently casual mode is just fine. Oh, well, casual mode isn't fine because I'm having problems with casual mode too. I'm having all this lag, and I'm having all this, that, and the third. And now he's ducking people. He ain't ducked Evil AJ. There's another guy who go in there and hands him his ass every once in a while. He keeps ducking him too. He don't want to play Third Strike because there's a couple of people who beat his ass in that. He's got excuses for days. Semantics, though. Semantics.
Fucking games got these giant big E fucking boners, and they actually feel that, you know, it matters to the fact that they win every match in a fucking online fighting game. Now, for those of us who've been around the block, people like me who have been a competitive Street Fighter player back in the day before these games even had online connectivity, it's a joke. It's a running joke. Because if you actually think that that shit matters, you basically have no fucking life. You're a geek. You think that having an online record in a fighting game matters. It's a joke. Most people, right, who are big-ass tournament winners don't give a fuck about their online ranking. It's stupid. It's pointless, okay? But it's still annoying. And it definitely was a big lack of foresight.
Wait. Now, granted, what he's trying to do is he's kind of just giving you a mixed signal when he said that. So, if you care about your online rank, you're a loser and you have no life. Pro players don't give a shit about that. It doesn't mean anything. And they do this professionally. But it's still annoying, though. And what he's doing is he's saying it's annoying, going back to the previous point about people that you shouldn't care about online rankings, but when your rankings drop, it's pretty annoying. And then tries to shift over to, oh, well, it's, you know, it sucks, though, that they don't have a penalty for people who rage quit and their ranks are unaffected. But if it doesn't mean anything, then isn't that not, you know, isn't that not the, let's reword that. Isn't that just part of the breaks? If it's no big deal? You know, if you're a loser that cares about your online ranking anyway? Who gives a shit if you get a couple of rage quits out of, let's say you get 5 rage quits out of 100 matches. Who gives a shit? Because I'm not supposed to be giving a shit about my online ranking anyway, right? I should just be in casual all day. You know what I'm saying? Online rank is useless. He's kind of making it sound that way. Huh. Isn't that interesting?
The game developers, they didn't put a penalty in there, okay? Now, let's talk about why I'm pissed off. AlphaOmegaSin talks about rage quitting for 30 seconds in his rant about Street Fighter V earlier this week. But what does he say? He says, oh yeah, rage quitting, you know, when you get one of those players that just, you know, they're losing so badly in a game, and, you know, they're getting completely ass-whooped, and they just can't stop making excuses for their loss, and of course, oh, it's never has to do...
That's definitely DSP to a T. That's not rage quitting, that's just being a bitch.
With them just not being good, or, you know, not having skill, it's always an excuse, and then they just rage quit out of the game. You know, guys like Darksydephil. And basically, he uses me as an example of a rage quitter. And some people are saying he didn't. Bullshit. He started his statement with rage quitters. He ended his statement with rage quitters. My name was in the middle. I don't give a fuck how you want to spin it to try to defend the guy. He fucked up. Because the problem is, I never rage quit. You will be very hard pressed in the thousands of matchups I've uploaded to YouTube. The more matchups than anyone else. I have uploaded more fighting game matchups than any other fucking human to YouTube. Good luck finding a legitimate
Yeah, that's him uploading those 3-minute matches individually for years. So yeah.
Rage quit. Alright? There's one match that someone found. Guess what? It was from my April Fool's special where I did it on purpose as an April Fool's joke, and it was shocking because people were like, holy shit, Phil rage quit, and he's never done that before. It doesn't happen.
I don't know. I think that was a video Tevin went over. I don't know. He says that was an April Fool's, but he looked really mad in that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say, you know, the whole rage quitting thing was an April Fool's joke or whatever. But boy, he was pretty mad that he got his ass handed to him, though. He got pretty mad. And it's not like Phil's a good actor or anything. It's not at all. He definitely got his ass pounded in that. So, it is what it is.
Now, I'm sure someone will find some kind of an exception or something that happened now that I've said this. They'll data mine my fucking 4,000 fighting game matches and maybe find something. The bottom line is, I'm the least guilty of this accusation of anyone on the planet.
Wait, so either you're not guilty at all, which is what Phil has told us. He's never rage quit at all. Go back and look into his history and you're not going to find it, to now I'm the least likely, or I'm the exception to the rules. I'm the worst candidate possible that you should be using for rage quitting, which to an extent I agree with. Like I said, Low Tier God would have been a much better example, but that doesn't mean that Phil hasn't committed the crime either. I'm not saying that his red hoof prints aren't stained. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying Low Tier God would have been a much better example.
The least guilty. Okay? So, for someone who's a big YouTuber, who has a good following on YouTube, right, to say something like this.
A good following on YouTube? I thought you don't watch any of his stuff, though, so how do you know the strength of his following or whatnot? Wow, Phil, you run around looking at other people's e-penises. That's really, really disgusting, Phil. I mean, that's what you're into, that's what you're into, but Jesus, Phil.
It's irresponsible, it's disrespectful, it's insulting, and it's fucking wrong. And the bottom line is, people do this shit all the time about me. They do. And I let it go. And I just say, you know what? I'll let it go because I'm just focused on my own shit. But here's the problem, because already there's people in the stream chat trying to defend AlphaOmegaSin. Even if he's wrong, you should just let it go. Alright. I've been the bigger man for a long time. I have. I'm very different now than I used to be. When I started out on YouTube, I was very cocky. I thought I was the cock of the walk. I was the big shit. You know, I was the one who was very popular for doing fighting games and stuff on YouTube. And a lot of the fighting game community did not like me for that, because they said, here's a guy...
No, you rubbed that shit in their face. You were like, oh, all these guys can do is run around to all these tournaments, barely make any money, right? And, you know, and it's really just a circle jerk and whatnot. This is what he said, or he said this before. But me, I'm on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing so much more, you know, I'm actually helping people, or I'm actually, you know, have an effect on people, and so on and so forth. You know, I'm glad I left that place. You know what I'm saying? Yada, yada, yada. And then now he's making it sound like, oh, the other guys in the FGC, they didn't like the fact that I had influence on YouTube. You threw that shit in those people's faces. And most of those guys, you stole their tournament footage. You took their tournament footage. This is what this idiot Phil did. He used to take these guys' tournament footage, right? And he used to take their tournament footage, record that shit, and upload it onto his channel. Alright? Now, at first, I think people didn't give a shit. They were like, alright, whatever. You know, most of those matches are probably people of his friends anyway, which, you know, you can excuse him for that and whatnot, or whatever the case may be. And some of them were kind of getting smart about it and being like, oh, well, that's good advertising for us anyway. Then people started to kind of get hip to it and be like, well, shit, we might as well promote, you know what I'm saying? We might as well go ahead and start a channel that has the same name as our tournament, right? And then we'll go ahead and put our tournament footage up. We'll clean it up and everything, you know what I'm saying? We'll get the audio right, we'll get the visuals right, and then we'll put it up there. Then people who couldn't come to the tournament, they can see the tournament footage and some of the other stuff that they did. And then that will entice them to come out. Like, what's that tournament they have out there in Atlanta? Final Round. Final Round is good about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they still do it now, but they used to. Texas Showdown used to do that. Stuff like that. Excuse me. So they started to kind of get hip to it. Well, come to find out, Phil used to go to some of these guys' tournaments, obviously. And then people started to realize, hey, man, you know the finals with, let's say, Ricky Ortiz and let's say, Flo. Oh, shit, man, yeah, I got a chance to see the finals for that shit. That shit was kind of dope, dude. How'd you get a chance to see that yet? We haven't uploaded that yet. Oh, it's on Darksydephil's channel. What? And then they go over there, and you see a playlist of all the big matches that went on the channel. And then they see all the views. Then people figured out and or found out that he was monetizing his videos before those guys even knew what monetizing a video was. Now it changes the landscape. Now that is one part of the reason why the FGC had a problem with Phil in the first place, running around getting people's footage and blasting that shit up on his channel for profit and basically cutting the FGC out altogether. His reasoning, allegedly, I saw this in a post on, it was on Capcom United or something, that was, oh, well, these guys are getting their money from the entry fees anyway. And I don't really make that much on the videos, so what's the big deal, man? I'm actually helping them promote. So what's the problem? Now, the interesting thing is Phil, in the past, and he does that now, big ups the fact that he used to make crazy money on his earlier videos. Hence the reason why he cut those videos up and put them up there the way he did. Match by match by match and stuff like that. So with that being said, that right there doesn't actually pan out. Just saying. And looking back at it now, the views weren't crazy, but for a tournament that's just now getting itself a much stronger media presence, right? And looking to advertise, those views could have been useful to them. Don't you think? Semantics, though, as I'm sure. Semantics.
Not even a tournament winner. And here we are trying to be full-time gamers, and we're barely scraping by, trying to win tournaments and shit to pay our bills, while Phil is just uploading casual matches to YouTube, and he's known for fighting games, and he makes a living doing it. That's not fair. And a lot of people in the fighting game community hate me for that.
There you go. Proof is... I know I've heard that in another video, but it's here too, so it worked out.
I can't help that. I can't help natural jealousy over success. I just can't. You know, it happened. It's not...
Motherfucker said natural jealousy over success. This bitch made motherfucker... I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be... Bitch. You ran around and got their footage. You ran around and pirated their footage. And you got the nerve to say that these motherfuckers don't have a right to be mad and or jealous at you. And I don't even think they were really that jealous. Like, you couldn't hack it here, so now you had to go over there. You had to take the easy way out. See, because the people in the FGC who were still in the FGC, or who are loved and respected and all that shit, they grinded in the FGC and made opportunities for themselves through the FGC. You went to YouTube and still figured out a way to fuck it all up. And now, he ain't even on YouTube really like that. He on Twitch. And he barely staying afloat over there. So what the fuck is he talking about? There are plenty of people who have made crazy strides through the FGC. Maximilian's a good example. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, YouTube helped, and certainly later on Twitch helped. But you know what I'm saying? He's known for the FGC. And he's known for the FGC, what he's done in the FGC, and how his YouTube channel has promoted a lot of that. Not only his own stuff, but stuff for the FGC. His Twitch is actually pretty dope. Like, if you guys haven't actually gone over there and chilled over there, it's pretty nice. And same thing with IFC Yipes. IFC Yipes is, when he streams, is actually pretty fun. And he's super fucking knowledgeable. Goddamn, like his Marvel 2 shit blows my fucking mind. But also his podcast is pretty informative. You know what I mean? Justin Wong has done just about everything. Shit, Justin Wong used to... I found this in an old Capcom United post. He used to actually give lessons for, like, I think during the Street Fighter 4 days. He, like, you could actually... I can't remember how much it said, but you could actually, like, pay him for lessons. And people actually took it. And some of those people actually did well enough to either, A, win locals, B, or actually even do well in majors. May have not won a major, but did pretty damn good. So the proof is in the pudding. Which is why everybody asks Daigo to do it. But Daigo, I don't think, has done it. And I can understand that. So the point is that people in the FGC found their way. And then expanded off into greater things. What the fuck did Phil do? He tried to rip off the FGC at every turn. He tried to clout chase. And he ended up eventually getting himself booted out. Ended up going to YouTube. Gloated after a couple years that, oh, look what you guys did to me, and now I'm over here, and now I'm bigger than all you guys anyway. And then he somehow figured out a way to fuck this all up on YouTube, and now he's over there on Twitch. Barely afloat. Oh, this is so good. This is so good.
Like I planned for this or anything. It all just kind of fell into my lap, and I've been doing it, you know, full-time for a while now, and, you know, certainly I feel... for those who want to do gaming full-time and they can't make ends meet and they hate me for it, well, whatever. You know, I can't help that. But with the people on YouTube, you know, to be angry at me for that, whatever. But the bottom line is, YouTubers, as of late now, feel safe. They feel safe at talking shit about me. And the stuff that they say is completely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've had big YouTubers accuse me of abusing copyright law. That I throw false takedowns at other YouTubers.
Yep.
Constantly, and I'm known for it, and I'm infamous for it. And I actually was called a dick sucker publicly for doing this, even though I've
Yep.
never ever instituted anything like that on YouTube without legal counsel, meaning I hired a fucking
legal counsel, but you too broke though, and you can't afford a lawyer. So if that was the case, and you had legal counsel to go ahead and take those things down, when they came back up, why didn't you actually fight it in court? Huh? Come on, Phil.
lawyer to tell me whether or not I had a legal claim to anything, and or the interaction of my partner network Machinima. But I get the shit for it, even though I have nothing to fucking do with it, and I've never done anything illegal or superfluous on the internet. Absolutely ridiculous. And that's just one example of the many, many people who have tried to talk shit about me over the years, and I always let it go. I do. I always say I'll be the bigger man, and I'll just focus on my stuff. But now I've had enough. For two reasons, alright? Number one, I am a pro fighting game player. Not currently, but if ever I want to, I could play a game enough and come back to the community and be a pro level fighting game player if I wanted to. Now,
how many more lies are going to come out that fat snout? Stop. Stop. You're done. You weren't very good when you were doing it. You're definitely out of practice now. You know what I'm saying? Whatever talent that you may or may not have had is gone. And since hard work is something that's not apparently in the Burnell bloodline and whatnot, or is not a code of ethics, that right there kind of left you as well. Jesus Christ, Phil. This is the same guy who's sitting here rubbing his hoof into his eyes, be like, hey, Snort, oh, my eyes, Snort, oh, my eyes, oh. It's the same idiot that's trying to convince these wheelchair symbols and these man piggies to go ahead and give him $200 so he can put on gamer glasses that don't actually correct his vision, just take some of the strain off of it. All right? To go ahead and give him $200 to wear fucking gamer glasses that helps him. That has no actual benefit to anybody else. It just helps him. And they're probably, I don't even know, and those are like the first, I think they said, or he said, like the first gunner glasses. So those don't mean probably jack shit really anyway. The newer ones are probably much better. But he wants to bring out gunner glasses from like 6 or 7 years ago? 8 or 9 years ago? Wow. Wild, Joe. Wild.
I don't know if I want to, but I have tournament history. You can look on the internet right fucking now, and you can see that I have won tournaments. And we're not talking one little rinky-dink tournament, a local here or there. Let's see, 4th place at EVO World, won 2 different EVO Easts, placed top 8 at other EVO qualifiers that weren't even in my local region. So those who try to make excuses, oh, he's just the best of his region. No, I went to all the qualifiers in 2007 and pretty much qualified at every single one that I entered. And I had so many spots reserved for myself at EVO because I won.
That's that strange gatekeeping shit that keeps getting floating around or whatnot, because that's what it is. It's kind of like a weird type of gatekeeping. And the thing is for him to go to all those qualifiers and do all of that, right? And he had all these spaces, available to him because he won all these qualifiers, and yet he ain't still lost. What does all that mean? What does all that mean? You know what I'm saying? And more than likely, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd have to go back and look at the ranks now. I wouldn't be surprised if Phil got beaten by someone who wasn't seeded, which is hilarious. You going ahead and doing this strange-ass gatekeep. And actually, I can explain the gatekeeping another thing, because I actually did look that up. So this is what Phil's notion is. And he's not actually wrong, per se. He's not actually wrong. But, because it's something that they used to do at locals back in the day. So here's how it works. Phil goes to all these EVO qualifiers, right? And you go ahead, and the ones that he was fortunate enough to win, you know what I'm saying? It helps improve his seeding, yeah? What he does is what he's trying to do, or what he tried to do, is he cuts out the amount of seeding that would be available, so to speak, right? So by doing that, he's kind of diluting the pool, if you will, to force the better players who may have not have shown up, or who are going to show up at the last minute, or whatever the case may be, to actually fight it out. And then he can take them out later on if they make it to him. That's essentially what all this is. You know what I'm saying? He's creating a whole nother barrier for himself, essentially. Another enclosure, if you will, to force the better players to fight it out amongst themselves, and then he kind of just picks up the scraps, like, you know, your typical vulture, if you will. The thing is, though, is that Phil's skill level compared to those people isn't good enough. Those people, think about it this way. So let's say it's myself, Almighty Tevin, James the Lesser, LSB, Agent Proper, Evil AJ, Ghostly Wins. Let's say, and you know, we'll take. Well, I can keep doing this. Paul, Sunspot Gallery, and Base Oslo. Let's say all of us are in a tournament, right? And let's say Phil is in that tournament as well. So let's say myself and Paul and James the Lesser all go to qualifiers, right? We all go to 3 different qualifiers, and we all end up getting seeding. And then Phil went to a qualifier, so he gets seeding. So all 4 of us are seeded, right? So all 4 of us not necessarily are safe, but we don't have to kind of go through all the bullshit because we've been seeded. And now all the rest of these guys have to fight it all out. Everybody else that I didn't get a chance, that I didn't name, those guys got to fight themselves out in pools, right? And then whoever it is that cleans up in pools ends up finally getting into the brackets and so on and so forth. Now, because we're seeded, we don't have to worry about all the extra nonsense with that because we already went to qualifiers. We're already in there. We're already like in this locked number of people. So now what happens is any of the killers that I just named, those guys basically thin themselves out, nothing to worry about. Now the rest of the guys got to fight their way through brackets. Now myself, Paul, and James the Lesser, since we're all seeded, now we come in and we end up cleaning those guys up, or well, we at least play against those guys later on down the line, and so on and so forth. And Phil does too. So Phil has to kind of throw his name into that hat. But we kind of skip the bullshit. The problem is, though, is because you're seeded and you don't have to play through like the bulk of it, right? You're playing cold, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, even if you're watching the matches, you're not actually there playing. So you're not actually, you haven't gone through the motions yet. Whereas everybody else have actually played through a couple of games. They've come through some strategies. They've seen some of the stuff that they've been doing, and they've made the adjustments, or they're making the adjustments while you haven't played yet. So now you have to wait and kind of do all that on the fly. I feel that people who play through pools usually do better than those who are, at times, usually do better than those that are actually seeded, because the people who are seeded are kind of waiting for that next challenger, while everybody else is already warming up. They're already making adjustments. Now the person that initially you thought you were going to play, or the player that you initially saw going in the pools, is now a completely different person once they get in the brackets. It's a completely different story, and that's where this weird gatekeeping thing that Phil was doing comes into play. And it don't even matter because he still lost, which is the hilarious part. At the end of the day, he ain't traveled to all of these EVO qualifiers, right? That don't mean a damn because he's already qualified. So outside of whatever cash prize, there's really kind of no point in going. You're running around to these EVO qualifiers trying to build this barrier around yourself, and then you still lose. You still get beat. What was the point of all of it when you think about it? At least in that tournament structure at that time. That's dumb. Like, you know what I'm saying? You wasted all your money going to tournaments that you really didn't need to go to. Or he didn't need to go to all of them. So, anyway.
So much in 2007, they had to give spots the fuck away. I've won in multiple versions of Street Fighter over the years. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Anniversary Edition, the other version of Super Turbo, 2 other ones that people didn't like, Arcade Super Turbo, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike I've done really well in tournaments on, so I don't want to fucking hear it. You know what I mean? You're going to tell me that I basically suck at fighting games? You can fucking eat a dick, because you're wrong. Now, I'm not great at every single fighting game, and certainly one thing that I will say that AlphaOmegaSin has said about me is 100% true. If I'm playing a fighting game online, and the connection is diddly dicks, and someone's using an abusive strategy on me, and I can't react to it, I will say this game is
That's a lot of excuses. If the internet's bad, I'll give you that. If you can't adjust and adapt to a tactic that's being used against you, you're garbage. I'm sorry, you're garbage. You're garbage. And even with lag, you can work your way through lag. Now, granted, there's different levels to that lag shit. Let's be honest. Let me not be a complete asshole about it. But you can, you know what I'm saying? Other people do it. Other people adjust as best they can. So, Lag, I can give him that to an extent. Adapting and adjusting to a strategy that's being used against you, fuck all with that. You suck. And you can't react to stuff. Hey, that's not the other person's fault that you're too slow, you're too old, you're too stupid. That whatever. That's not their problem. That's not their fault. So sorry, Pumpkin, you get 1 out of the 3. You only get 0.5 of you really only get 0.5 out of the 3, to be honest, but I'll let you have 1. I'm feeling generous right now. Okay? I got my Snortbucks in me. I'm feeling pretty good. So, yeah, you can go ahead and have the 1. You can have the lag. You don't get everything else. You don't get the fact that you can't adjust to a strategy or to a tactic you've never seen before. That sounds pathetic, Mr. Pro fighting game player. And the fact that you can't react to stuff. Yet again, Mr. Old Poor fighting game broke ass poor ass former pro fighting game player. Sorry. And I can't even use the fact of calling him old, because there are plenty of people his age that don't look as bad as he does, or who aren't in the shape that he's in. So let's go ahead and retcon all that. Let's go ahead and get the old part out of there. I'm sorry that you didn't take care of yourself. I'm sorry you let yourself go to shit, mentally and physically. I'm sorry. And that's about the most you're going to get out of me when it comes to sympathy. Other than that, fuck all with the rest of it.
Piece of shit, this player sucks ass. And no, it's not my fucking fault. Because it's online. Good luck doing those kind of stupid...
He used to bitch and complain about shit when he was playing on LANs, when he was playing in person. You can go back and look, if you can find them, because there's a particular money match I'm looking for and I haven't found it yet. But you can go back and look at those money matches, boy. Oh my god, he's salty as fuck throwing out that money. Oh my god. He went up against let's see, there's I think it was either Mix, no, it wasn't Remix. I think Remix was out in New York. He went up against Mix Up, and I think the guy's name was Mix Up. He had to run that wallet on him on that one. And then there was this there's a clip on Kiwi Farms where he's playing. I can't think of what that guy's name is though. I can't think of what this player's name is. But you see Phil just throwing out like it's either 20s or 100s, just flopping that shit on there like. Ugh. And I think that was Marvel 2, which he ain't had no business doing money matches at that level anyway. Like, you had no business doing that shit. You should have stuck your ass over there on that Super Turbo cabinet. Who the fuck told you that you can... I'm not doing exactly what he did to fucking Triforce, but who the fuck told you to come over here and lose all this goddamn money over here playing Marvel 2? You ain't had no business doing that. I'm not going to say you don't belong here. I'm just going to say you had no business competing in money matches at that level. Boy, I have read and I have seen money matches in Marvel that'll blow your goddamn mind. You know what I'm saying? At times there were $10,000 money matches raced to 10, $15,000 money matches raced to 10, $20,000 money matches raced to 10, or first to 10. Race to 10, same shit. You know what I'm saying? Dude, if you can't compete, like if you really can't compete, you shouldn't be playing at that level. You really shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't tournament, ladies and gentlemen. This is money matches. This is side bet. Let me give you guys a small foray in how, and not how, but how some of the money matches worked, all right? Now, keep in mind, I was a really, really, really young pup when some of my older siblings dragged me off to some of these tournaments. Not dragged me off. I'm glad they took me and whatnot. But, then again, you got to know how to act, though. You can't be just some young kid running around and shit, because, trust me, someone would have checked one of my brothers and shit, and that would have been a problem. But, well, that would have been a problem for me. It wouldn't have been a problem for them. They'd handled it either which way. But anyway, here's the situation. With most money matches, the big money matches, right? Those are usually grudge matches. Those are usually type of, like, for example, Marvel 2, Clockwork versus... who's the guy that kid, that Cloud, ended up accidentally mistaking Darksydephil with? Dark Prince. Duck Jr. Well, he initially was known as Duck Jr. because he was a protege of Duck Doe. Duck Doe was the first, just a little Marvel 2 thing for you, history. Duck Doe is the first Marvel 2 Evo champion. This was before the event that was called Evo. It was called Battle at the Bay, or Battle by the Bay. One of the two. And he was the first one to win. Actually, if I remember correctly, Duck Doe has theoretically won 2 Evos. Because Justin has won like 7 or 8 of them. Yipes has won once, and then Sanford has won once. And that right there is your 4 gods, or your 4 emperors of Marvel 2. But anyway, but Duck Jr. used to be Duck Doe's protege. And then they had a falling out over whatever, and then Duck Jr. was going on like his 50 Cent shit for a long ass time actually. And then he ended up changing his name to Dark Prince, and he was basically known as like the ultimate bad guy of the FGC, but certainly of the Marvel community. But he knew what he was doing though. Like he could really play. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had a lot of knowledge and information, so he wasn't exactly someone that you could ignore. And then he had this gang of people running around with him, too. So that was a whole other thing in itself. But if I remember correctly, Dark Prince was in a match, had a money match with Clockwork, who ran... What did you run, Clockwork? You ran Team Clockwork, but I think it's Strider, Sentinel... Oh, I don't remember who your first character is. Is it Storm Strider and then Sentinel? I know Team Duck or Team Duck Doe is it's Spiral, Sentinel, Cable. Let me see here. Give me just a second. I'm gonna do this on the fly real quick. I'm pretty sure. Okay, there we go. Team Clockwork. I'm pretty sure he runs. Oh yeah. Okay, that's right. He runs Strider, Doom, Sentinel. That's Team Clockwork. Here, let me look this up even further. But yeah, he had a money match with Duck Jr. Or Dark Prince at that time, and I think that was for like $10,000. That was like for 10 grand. And at first, people were like, "Well, how is he going to come up with that cash? How is Duck Jr. going to come up with the cash? It don't matter because he came up with it. So, it don't even really matter how it happened. He came up with it. Let's see here. Okay, you got MSS, MSP, okay, Team Scrub. Okay, here we go. So here, I can run off some teams to you really, really fast. So when you think of these are top tournament teams from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back in the day. A lot of them are still looked at as those top teams now. So you have Team MSP, which is Magneto, Storm, Psylocke. You have Team MSS, which is Magneto, Storm, Sentinel. Let's see here. You have Team Santhrax, which is Sanford Kelly's team, which is Spiral, Storm, Captain Commando. It's a beastly-ass team because Captain Commando's fucking anti-air is redunculous. You have Team Scrub, which is Cable, Sentinel, and Captain Commando, which, yet again, crazy damage. You have Team Row, which is Magneto, Cable, Sentinel. Let's see, Team Clockwork. Yep, there you go. He's right there. Team Clockwork, which is Sentinel, Strider, and Doom. And there's other mid-tier teams here. Wow, they got a whole breakdown for that. Holy shit. That's what's up. I need to read this later. Alright, anyway. Sorry. So, the point being of all of that is that there's crazy money. There was crazy money being played by, like, the top, like, by, like, the upper echelon. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you think of Golden Boy Neo, for example. This was after... I think he came around after Sanford won that last Marvel tournament, which got him anointed. I think Golden Boy showed up. He's a real talented player. He was on a tear for a while. He was money matching everybody. He was chasing after Yipes for a long time. I mean, don't get me wrong, not to be disrespectful. Him and Yipes are friends and shit, but he was chasing after Yipes for a long ass time because Yipes was IFC Yipes, which is in fucking control. Yipes was he was the guy to go after. Because, like, he made a lot of money in money matches. Goddamn, I saw him brutalize people. Oh my god, I saw him brutalize people. I saw Justin brutalize people. I saw Sanford eat good off of beating the fuck out of people on video. Jesus Christ, he destroyed people in money matches. Like, it's a different type of mentality. Like, to make a long story short, I know I'm going off on a tangent here. But when it comes to money matches, you have to be a different type of fucking animal. Winning a tournament is one thing. Getting the accolades and getting your paycheck at the end of that shit is one thing. Money matches are something completely fucking different. You gotta be a completely fucking goddamn animal. You gotta be a fucking savage if you're going to win. Because if you lose, one, you're gonna lose big money. Okay? Because there's some people out there who didn't take The starting bids for money matches was $100 and up for some of those players. They weren't playing for less than 100. And I mean, we're talking about in Marvel, you can go through like a 3 out of 5. Psh, you know how fast that can go? I've seen IFC Yipes on tape, right? I've seen Sanford Kelly do it too. I've seen them beat a person 3 times in under like 5 minutes. That's how quickly you can lose $100. I've seen them absolutely destroy people and whatnot in under 5 minutes. It's disturbing. It's disturbing watching someone walk in and talk all that shit and be all hyped and everything and be dismantled. I've seen IFC Yipes go into a dude's chest and pull out his soul and laugh when he did it. And then he was nice enough to give it back, but he took his money. Oh my God, it's brutal. It is brutal. It is brutal. Jesus Christ. I've seen Combo Fiend and Josh 360. He's out of New York. And I've seen Combo Fiend because they're both Iron Man players. I've seen those guys do Infinites, do the Iron Man Infinite on people, and just look at them the whole time that they did it. They didn't even look at the screen because they already knew what the timing was and they knew what the sound cues were. And brutalize entire teams. I've seen, oh my Christ. I saw the most disturbing shit I ever saw. This will be the last thing. And then I'll finish my point with the money matches and we'll move on. I saw Josh 360. Holy fuck. This shit has burned into my fucking psyche in a way that very few things ever have. I saw Josh 360 literally give commentary on his own match against his opponent. Like he was playing and saying, this is what I'm going to do to you. This is what's going to happen and whatnot. Be ready. I'm telling you now in advance. This is what I'm going to do to you. The guy was like, yeah, whatever. There was like, I think it was like $4,000 on the line, I think, allegedly at that time. I can't remember what the amount was. Josh is like, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to dash up on you. I'm going to hit you with 2 lights. I'm going to hit you with a standing medium. I'm going to launch you. And then I'm going to hit you with down fierce. I'm going to air dash down. I'm going to put you into this infinite. I'm going to destroy this first character. As soon as you die, I'm going to fucking combo. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to do diagonal up fierce for the combo break. I'm going to go into fly. I'm going to go into unfly. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to infant your character, this character as well. And I'm going to do the same to the person after that. And then I'm going to give you, what did he say he was going to do at the end? Instead of hitting you with proton cannon, right before you dizzy out, I'm going to dash under, let you hit the ground. I'm going to hit you with 2 lights. I'm going to hit you with another launch, and then I'm going to hit you with proton cannon, and you're done. And you're going to pass your money to me right before the proton cannon comes out. The guy was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Not only did Josh 360 tell him that before the match, like while they were sitting down and they were getting everything set up, he talked him through that shit through the match, and that's exactly what happened. It was so painful. It was so painful to watch something like that. That was, oh my God, and it happened just like how he said. He did not deviate at all from his description. It was the most devastating thing I've ever seen, I think. It's one of the most devastating things I've ever seen in FGC. It's the most devastating thing. To see someone be dismantled like that while he was still alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like he went ahead and put him onto the fucking cutting board and started dismantling his shit. No, he mentally dismantled him first, and then he did it physically. That is... oh my God. That's what money matches had on the line at the time. Most people went to tournaments just for money matches. They didn't even go to compete in tournaments. This is something that wasn't uncommon back in those days, back in Phil's day, to be honest. Dudes would only go there for that. Let me give you another example. There were dudes who used to go to money matches, or used to go to tournaments with like $200. They had maybe enough money to make it to the tournament, have a hotel room, if they were staying with a friend of theirs or something like that, or other players that they knew from other regions. And all they did was money match. That's all they did. All they did was play money matches. I've heard stories of people walking into a tournament with like $100 and leaving with like $6,000 or $7,000. And for a while, that's all people did. You know, certain players, all they did was go to tournaments just to compete in money matches and clean people up. Just clean them out. Like, absolutely destroy them. I have heard stories of people going to tournaments having a chip on their shoulder, right? Being mad at other players that beat them in other tournaments or whatever. And they would literally run to ATMs and shit and literally max out credit cards just so they had money for money matches, keep losing and go back. There's an alleged story, I don't know the name of the player, but this story was told to me of this guy, and they were in Vegas, so that would have been Evo. And this guy ended up having like $10,000 on his credit card or some shit. I think he maxed it out to like $2,000. And he was like, because he got beat in a like $100 money match, and he just went out and just cleared out his credit card basically, except for $2,000, and he lost all of that over the span of a night. Just lost it because everybody heard about the amount of money he was flashing. So they basically all the top players just picked him apart. Some of the people who came up on him for money matches didn't even have the money. There was a guy there in the FGC named Shao Kahn, I think he was going by. I think his name was Shao Kahn, or his name was Khan, one of the two. This guy used to finance for big players to go to tournaments, and then he would make side bets on either their money matches or on their matches to be compensated. And he made himself, I don't know what he was doing or anything like that. I don't have all the details on his personal, it doesn't even matter. But he used to bankroll players, basically. He used to bankroll players, and he didn't make bad bets. He did not make bad bets. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what type of like analysis that this guy had of the players that he was financing, and so on and so forth. And people would run up and you can find it in really old footage. It's a white dude, glasses. He plays too. He used to be a player. And you'll see him there with like a yellow notepad, and you'll see him writing in this, and you'll see people running up on him. He was like a bookie. He was like a bookmaker. People used to run up on him and be like, yo, you know, X amount, you know, on such and such. All right, no problem. He would literally take bets, and he took like a percentage off of that. And you could tell the people who lost money to him because they walked up on him real slow. Like, they'd walk up on him real slow. You see them going into their pocket, counting it out, and be like, here you go. They shook his hand, right? If you lost money, you had to shake his hand, and then you walked away. This is how serious the FGC used to be back in the day. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Like, reading through some of the stories on some of those old sites or whatnot, wild shit. Wild shit. I need to do a video or two like just devoted to that shit because it's funny. It's wild too. It's definitely some crazy shit happen, but wild stuff though. If you're ever interested in any of that FGC lore, wild shit, wild stuff. Anyway, the point being, now that I've kind of geeked out, point being is when it comes to money matches, it's one of the defining measuring sticks of who belongs and who don't, as it pertains to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, money matches and tournaments are two separate things, man. You got to be a completely different animal in these money matches. You're not just losing large amounts of money. You have people that are pulling bets on you that are going to probably lose large amounts of money. And more importantly, dudes will outright humiliate the shit out you for losing. That shit will follow you for years if you're not careful. You know what I'm saying? So coming into a money match like that with an ego is going to fuck you. And Phil actually has a very interesting reputation in the FGC as knowing as being one of the walking ATMs, which is what I was telling you guys about earlier, about guys who came in with a chip on their shoulder or mad because they lost to somebody in a particular tournament. People talk shit about them online. Next thing you know, okay, let's get into a money match then. You know what I'm saying? Throw $100 up and let's see what you really have. And those guys would lose and they'd run back to go and get more money. Or after they get tapped out, they're starting to go into their credit cards and pulling cash advances out to do it. And next thing you know, word gets around and it's like, yo, hey man, I already took like $600 off that cat. Why don't you go ahead and play him real fast and whatnot, clean him up, clean him out. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and just bankrupt them. And dudes would do that. Dudes would go ahead and do it and be like, hey man, you still taking money matches? Yeah. Yo, I got 200 on that. Oh, okay, then come and get this. And get cleaned up. Free money. Free money. And these are the things and the mentalities and some of the aspects of Phil's personality that you guys need to take into consideration, because he lost quite a bit of money in his FGC days. I couldn't give you an exact amount because I don't even have it pinned down, but he's lost quite a bit of money. They've milked him, and those piggy titties, they've milked them real good long before he came to YouTube, long before detractors and everything. Phil has been known for someone that can be turned over for quite a bit of money. And because his ego too damn big. You guys want an even better example or a current example? Look at WWE champions. If he's 40 or 50, if he's 40 to 50,000 invested in that shit, right? Over the span of the last, I mean, I guess 3 or 4 years, let's say. How much money do you think he lost in his FGC days when he thought he was really good? And like I said, most of the stuff I'm telling you about now is just Marvel. Marvel 2. It's Marvel, baby! How much, you know what I'm saying? Where your curly mustache at? How much do you think he lost in Super Turbo and money matches? Because there was money matches for that too. And people lost, damn near lost their shirts. How much do you think he lost over there? Something to think about. Thank you for listening to GTG's flashbacks of the FGC.
Abusive pattern Ken tactics in an offline tournament and actually getting that to work against anyone, including me. Because it doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't. It's bullshit. And anyone who's a top level, pro level fighting game player looks at that kind of shit and laughs and says, yeah, that was a terrible player. Phil had a bad match and he raged about it. And everyone has that kind of match, just that Phil actually vocalizes it in his videos. Well, a lot of other people say, well, I'll just swallow it or I'll grin and bear it. No, I call it out for its bullshit. Because I have fucking balls. Okay? And I will call bullshit out when I see it. So that is absolutely correct. If that was the point that AlphaOmegaSin is trying to make, that I complain in videos, yeah. But why don't you take a look at this week's Street Fighter V coverage, AlphaOmegaSin, where out of how many videos that I've uploaded, over, I believe, about 100 so far, I've complained maybe 10 to 20 times tops. So what, 1/10 to 1/5 of the time, there may be a blip in the internet connection and I say something about it. That's not the majority of the time. So for you to portray it like all I do is sit here and bitch and moan at fighting games, wrong. Now the fact that you even brought my name up in the realm of something about rage quitting is a fucking atrocity, a farce, and it proves you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You have no fucking clue. That is incredibly disrespectful to someone like me, who over all the years...
So Phil can go ahead and comment on Tobuscus, iJustine, and all these other people calling them not real gamers, and how they're only vloggers who came in and they pushed guys like him out. None of them ever really loved gaming, because if not, they'd have done it for free. He can say all that. He can go ahead and question Ninja's ability and how, oh, he only shows out to little kids and he's there to just take little kids' money and so on and so forth, and he's not, he's not legitimate. He's just another Muppet. He can say that about Ninja and Markiplier and PewDiePie. He can go ahead and question their motives and their business acumen and all that. He can go ahead and question and shit on iJustine and Tobuscus and Toby Turner and all that. But if you call Phil out on something that he, as I've expressed, is known for doing to various degrees, you're completely and totally wrong. You're completely unfounded and you owe him an apology. Is that really where we're at with this? Yikes.
Been one of the staunchest opponents of rage quitting in fighting games. One of the I always call that shit out. Always. And say, that is fucking a pussy move. That is a chicken shit move. It's cowardly. It don't deserve it. All the matches where I've sat there and raged at how bad the player was or the connection was, I never rage quit the game. I at least take the licking. And it fucking registers on the online server. So...
The question was... No, well, the question is... Are you... Well, no, I guess the question was Panda getting the licking? And I guess the question is Catherine getting the licking? I assume they're not. Well, they actually have cats as pets, though, so I guess that's different. But whatever, you guys know what I meant.
Wrong, fucking wrong. You are wrong. And I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm just not. I'm not going to be the butt of everyone's joke. And here's the other reason, because I just brought up...
But you are the butt of everybody's joke, even now. Oh, well. I mean, no one ever said you were a winner at anything.
Number one, I am a tournament winner. I know I'm a good player. Everyone knows I'm a good player who isn't a fucking jackass. And you can't erase that. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to rage quitting. Alright? Number two, when people like this say shit like this in their videos about me, it hurts me. It hurts myself, it hurts my business, because like I said, people might be looking for Street Fighter V coverage. I'm certainly not going to be the top guy on the fucking internet for that. But if you're looking for someone who played a bunch of online play, oh, here's one from Darksydephil. Oh, wait, AlphaOmegaSin said he's just a shithead, dirty rage quitter who complains every fucking match. Well, I'm not going to watch his stuff, and they pass the video by. And that's...
Now, that type of mindset seems very strange that he thinks people would actually think that way. Because if you are a trash fire, why wouldn't people be inclined to actually click on it and see the trash fire for themselves? Like, this right here, I think, is a very good example of how he believes people, some of these influencers out here, or some of these bigger YouTubers, whatever, let's not call them influencers, let's just say big YouTubers, how their word is essentially law. But this right here also should give you guys a bit of an understanding on why he believes his word is law. If he says, you know what, Tevin's just a thief, then he automatically assumes that because he said it, other people will take that as the gospel and just move along with it, which most of those wheelchair symbols and man babies will do it, but not everybody. Which is the reason why Tevin consistently keeps being him on the restream viewership. But that's his mentality, though. Because AlphaOmegaSin called him a rage quitter, he's thinking now, well, no one's going to come and watch my content because AlphaOmegaSin says so. Are you retarded? Because that's not how that works. Not even close. So why would you... Who would even come to that assumption? And even if a very small demographic of people are like that, you shouldn't make the blanket statement that everybody would be. That just makes no sense. Not at all. Wow, man. Wow. That goes back, though, to what I was telling you guys about this whole... He needs YouTube. He needs Twitch. He needs the internet. Way more mentally than he needs this shit financially. He's got way too much riding on this. He always has. It's really not this serious. Not all of it. Jesus Christ.
His fault for lying in his fucking video. And I'm not putting up with the bullshit any fucking more. I'm done with it. I'm absolutely done with it. Anyone who wants to fucking say shit, you're gonna get fucking roasted when I get my fucking hands on you. Because there's a lot of shit I could say about a lot of fucking YouTubers, and they're not gonna like it. And it's real fucking talk. But I bite my tongue so that I just stick to my own work stuff, and I just do my own shit every day. I don't let it get to me, right? Even though, as all the other YouTubers have surpassed me...
I'm not gonna let it get to me. Yeah, you can hear that shit building up on him, and he's about to say how other YouTubers have already surpassed him. I wish I had waited an extra second before I stopped it. Here, let's let him finish this point.
With all their tactics on YouTube to become bigger and better, and they soak up all the fucking views, and I just sit here minding my own business, doing my own thing every day, right? And I get all this fucking hate from all the little kids of the internet, and now all these YouTubers are going to try to make me the butt of their fucking jokes. Fuck no. Now you've done it. Now you've broken the last straw. I'm sorry. Now I said that wrong. That is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's that simple. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. I am not gonna fucking put up with this shit any longer. Real fucking talk. I've been way too relaxed when it comes to this shit. I've let everyone shit on me, 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 shit on me everywhere. To the point where I've got shit up to my fucking eyeballs. And I don't like it. I don't fucking like it. So from now on, if you're going to name drop me and you're going to be fucking wrong, at least be right about what you're saying. Like if AlphaOmegaSin's point was, Phil complains a lot when he plays fighting games. Okay, that's actually a valid point. I probably do it more than anyone else because I call people out for their shit and I call game programmers out for their bullshit. Right? That's kind of the catch of a lot of the reason people watch my stuff. To hear me rage and call bullshit when I see it. But to say
that right there doesn't make you informed just because it affects you and it doesn't affect other people. Yet again, going back to if it affects him, he automatically, not even assumes, he just automatically thinks it affects everybody else. Which is still coming from a misinformed place. And does that say WWE Network up there at the top? It does. Isn't that convenient?
A rage quitter, you fucked up. You don't even know what the word means if you're going to call me a rage quitter. So, I'm done with this. Everyone wants to try to pull this shit. You're going to get fucked. I'm done with it. I'm not gonna put up with any of this shit anymore. You wanna fucking pull some bullshit on Twitter and talk shit about me? You know, I make a big video where I'm talking about an important subject on YouTube, and maybe I misspeak in one part, or I make one point that you disagree with, and you're gonna ignore the whole fucking thing that I'm saying, the whole general positive point that I'm saying, because you nitpick one little fucking thing and you want to call me out on Twitter. I'm gonna rip your fucking asshole out and shove it down your throat, because I am not gonna be the whipping boy of YouTube anymore. So, I'm putting everyone on fucking notice. I'm not a bitch. I'm not anyone.
Yeah, you are a bitch. The animosity that he got built up through is something that's amazing. It's too bad that he can't take that hate against him, and he can't take his frustration and his animosity for others who have surpassed him because they had talent, because they had ability, because they had gumption, because they had drive. It's too bad that he couldn't use it to fuel himself to be better. It's a shame that he doesn't take that hatred, right, and use it to make himself a better person and a better content creator. It's a shame. It's a shame that he has all this pent up anger and frustration and whatever, and he can't use it to fuel him. Wow. Well, maybe Panda wasn't really that sad that that most of the sex dropped off when they left from Connecticut to Washington. Maybe it was a good thing. Old man with a bad back. What was she expected out of him anyway?
Pussy. And if you're gonna be wrong, prepare to get your asshole ripped out. Because I'm not putting up with it any fucking longer. No. No. The bottom line is, I was around doing YouTube videos before most of you. And you think that you're just gonna use...
So the fuck what? And I pointed this out before. So the fuck what? That gives you seniority? Okay, fair enough, Phil. Okay, so those guys have been around longer than you, or you've been around longer than those guys, right? So that gives you seniority. Then why is it that they were able to be successful and you're just still where you're at, stagnant? Why is that a thing? Why is that something that's propagated on a daily basis? And there's proof that the back of what I just said. Why is that a thing? Why can't you fix it? What is it that they're doing right that you're doing wrong that you can't do to put yourself where they're at? Why haven't you evolved with the times? Why hasn't your content changed and evolved with the status quo of the industry that you're in? Not a very good example, Phil. Not a very good example.
Me is the fucking joke, the butt of the joke of YouTube. DSP still around? Oh, you just fucking, you woke the sleeping dragon. You opened a can of worms that you are not going to be able to digest. You don't want to fuck with it. You don't. So, anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up, last night I brought...
You know what? I don't know how the AlphaOmegaSin thing, like, played out. Allegedly, or at least from what I was told, supposedly this kind of kept going out on... It kept basically going on Twitter, and eventually it fizzled out. And then a couple years later, I guess either AlphaOmegaSin took some shots at him again, trying to resurrect some shit off of it, and that kind of teetered out. I don't know what the full details were. It doesn't really matter. I mean, for whatever it was that AlphaOmegaSin did, or said, I should say, for whatever he said, to sit there and have Phil Burnell throw out idle threats, because that's what these are, idle threats at people like AlphaOmegaSin and other people who have commented on him, I think goes to show who the real loser here is. I think that's the main point.
Up on Twitter. I direct tweeted AlphaOmegaSin. I don't know if he's going to respond. I didn't insult him. I basically just said, you're dead fucking wrong. You obviously only have a casual understanding of what fighting games are and what rage quitting actually is. I'm not a rage quitter. And you misrepresented me to your viewership, which is ridiculous and not professional. And you owe them an apology and you owe me an apology. And let's see if you're man enough.
This apology fetish thing is wild to me, bruh. You need to apologize to them, and you need to apologize to me publicly about this scenario. You need to straighten this shit out. But isn't this, ladies and gentlemen, when I told you about what Phil wanted from Timmy Turner, or from Toby Turner, where he's like, hey, you need to, well, Toby Turner apologized. He shouldn't have because it wasn't his fault. But you wanted Toby Turner to apologize, and then you wanted to talk to him behind the scenes, right? So you guys could hash this out. I.e., we're going to get behind the scenes. I'm going to shame you. I'm going to make you feel bad for me, and you're going to go ahead and promote me on your channel, just like how you were promoted on my channel. AlphaOmegaSin, big YouTuber, large numbers. Hey, you need to apologize to them and say that you misrepresented the situation. Then you need to apologize to me publicly, saying how you misrepresent the situation, and you probably should give me some free promotion too. And the apology is, quote unquote, the free promotion, I bet. Yo, this guy was literally trying to latch on to anything and everything to try to get popular, or to try to get back to where he was in like 2010 or whatever. Holy shit. This is sad. This is truly sad. This is truly, truly sad. It's literally I gotta tell you, as much as I enjoy going over the old shit, it's like watching him die. It's kind of like watching him die slowly, I should say. I'm slowly but surely watching, well, let's say not die. That's a bit harsh. It's like watching him dismantle himself slowly but surely. That's exactly what he's doing. He's breaking himself down. Holy fuck, bro. How does someone keep making mistakes and then just keeps making mistakes and think it's okay? There's nothing okay about any of this, to be honest. There's nothing okay about it. I'm laughing at it, but it's really not funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny.
So we'll see what happens, right? And all these,
and then he wants to see, let's see if he's man enough to do it. You mean like how John and Howard, if they were men, they would have reached out to you behind the scenes and you guys would have talked this out? So good. So good.
Oh my God. I swear, I'm tired of this shit. If you have a pair of balls, now's the time to show it. Not, oh, Phil just fueled the trolls. He fueled the trolls by saying, fuck the trolls. The trolls say shit about me no matter what anyway. I've been quiet. Every time I'm quiet, they just make new shit up. For 3 days, they've been trying to find examples of me rage quitting in fighting games. They pulled one out from my April Fool's special, and then they pulled out a video of me where I gave up in Injustice because the guy was spamming projectiles and the connection was too laggy for me to react. So I just...
that. You rage quitted that one. Like I said, you did rage quit that other one. I remember that one. That was against Deathstroke, I think.
Walked forward the whole match and let him beat me, and they said that was a rage quit. It's not, and you're a fucking moron if you think it is. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
And then I'm a fucking moron then, but that was a rage quit.
The trolls will say whatever the fuck they want, and there's nothing I can do about it. So let them have a fucking field day. Let them pull out their fucking dicks and jerk off all over their fucking computer screens, because that's the only reason that they fucking follow me anyway, because this is how they get their fucking attention and popularity. Do you think I'm going to be calling them out? No. But if a legit YouTuber is going to be...
Except for Tevin, right? Except for Tevin, right? And LSB in one way or another. Evil AJ. Who else? Let's play the game. Who else? You've called out Be Awesome One, Jackie Chen, Slow Beef, Sons of Kojima. Who else? Who else has he called out? He's called out a few of his namesayers over the years. Certainly called out a few of his namesayers over the years. What the fuck are you talking? Well, I don't know if he actually says... He never said Snortbucks name, I don't think. Never said Snortbucks name, but certainly implied to it. But then again, you try to take down Snortbucks behind the scenes, as well as Secret Life of DSP. You try to do that too. So let's go ahead and ease that back.
Fucking wrong, then I'm gonna fucking say something. Alright. So there we have it. I've now gotten it off my chest. I feel a lot better now. I've almost lost my voice. But it is what it is. Name droppers will be name droppers. You want to try to get that little bit of attention, right? Oh my god, someone mentioned Phil. Oh. Good luck. You'll need it. Because if you're going to be fucking dead wrong, you're going to get called out. And this is just the beginning. So, let's see what happens with these people now and what they're going to fucking do. Because I'm just not. I'm not going to be. I'm a man with a business, and I'm not going to have my business get run into the ground by fucking people who want to be irresponsible and talk shit about me completely incorrectly, and just, it's ridiculous.
I'm a man with a business. That's so good. That's so good. Oh, that's precious. I'm a man with a business. That's good. That's really, really good. I was not expecting that.
Absolutely ridiculous. All right. So that is it, everyone, for the pre-stream. I got it off my chest. All right, and I'm sure this video, oh, the drama, Phil talked shit, which I didn't. There was no shit talking in this video. There was real talk. That's the difference. Shit talk and real talk are two completely different things. That's the reason a lot of people don't like me, because I talk for real. I talk the truth, and sometimes the realities are very harsh, but I always speak it, and I have the balls to fucking say the truth, rather than these people who just talk shit out of their assholes completely incorrectly about stuff and want to basically make someone look bad, so hopefully they get more attention, right? That's the difference between me and other people. But I digress. I got it off my chest, and now the time has come for me to actually play Street Fighter, which is what most of you are here for. So thank you for being patient, and now we shall begin. That's it. I got it off my chest. I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm not going to talk about it again for a while, at least. But I had to get that off my chest. Sometimes you just gotta be real!
Let's see. Oh.
Oh, that's good. That's real. I don't see another way that could have been any more fitting to end this. That was great. That was just special. I'm a man and I have a business. That's really good. That's really good. I would have. Oh, it's one of the most pathetic things I've ever heard, but or at least one of the most pathetic things I've ever heard out of Phil. I've never heard anybody actually say that, but that's pretty good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know how this works. Let me go ahead and square all this up, and then we'll reconvene for final thoughts. Because I'm a man and I have a business. See you guys in a second. That was really, really good. That's really, really good. Holy shit. I'm sorry, that's funny though. That's really, really hilarious. I'm a man and I have a business. Holy shit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so final thoughts. Oh my god. That's amazing. That was... Oh my god, that's great. That's great. Alright, so first off, big ups to James Cash for both of these videos. The links to them will be down in the description and whatnot. And you guys get a good laugh of that on your own, because that shit is funny. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right. As it pertains to the AlphaOmegaSin thing altogether, okay. Let me break it down a little bit. That's really funny. That's really, really hilarious. Anyway, I think AlphaOmegaSin could have chosen somebody else to be a much more fitting example. I think overall, though, I have to side with AlphaOmegaSin because though Phil doesn't do it at the frequency of like a low tier god, he does do it, and he has done it, and he can't lie about that. It's pathetic to even think so. He can change the definition all he wants to try to suit his circumstances, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. As for the amount of games that he has quit altogether is something all entirely in itself. Like I said, if I remember to, I will link to, I will try to find that video, the 7-hour extravaganza of Phil's Rage Quits, and I will link that down in the description. You guys can check that out. It'll be under plugged videos. So that's something, and big ups to the content creator who put that together. As for Phil, he reacted to this extremely poorly. Extremely poorly. He's merely reinforcing, even all these years later, he's kind of just reinforcing what AlphaOmegaSin said, and that right there isn't very good, to be honest with you. And this goes back to Phil's inability to handle himself in a PR standpoint. When he's mad, he just wants to talk. He just wants to rant. And he doesn't give a damn about the consequences. And then he wants to go back later on and say, oh, you guys took me out of context. Oh, I was angry. Oh, my depression's talking. Oh, whatever pathetic little excuse that he has. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You got called out. You got called out in a way that you really couldn't compete against. You couldn't really defend yourself against it. If this was supposed to be a defense, it was pretty pathetic, to be honest. And anybody who knew his history back then, I would assume, would feel just as reinforced as someone who knows his history now, or at least some of it, and know that, to a degree, AlphaOmegaSin wasn't wrong. So, you know what I'm saying? People will give him the benefit of the doubt regardless, and that's okay, that's welcomed. But, I think in the long and short of it all, I think AlphaOmegaSin was still pretty much on point. And if nothing else, time is one of the best teachers. So looking at everything now in 2020, you guys have seen quite a bit. You guys have seen, some of you anyway, have seen quite a bit of Phil's, how he conducted himself in FGC games to kind of prove that point, I think. However, which way you want to go ahead and look at the definition of rage quitting. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. Thank you guys for kind of enduring my my FGC class, if you will, on money matches. I could definitely do something much more fleshed out, because maybe I can find some examples too, because there are some pretty good examples out there of just people getting destroyed, getting absolutely dismantled. Oh my god, it's the most horrible thing ever. Anyway, but that's the thing. We'll reconvene on that at another time. Please, ladies and gentlemen, support Snortbucks Coffee, the best beverage company. The link to their Twitter is down in the description, as well as the Goutopia Museum of Unnatural Art. The link to that's down in the description. Always puts a smile on my face when I think about that. As well as Sunspot Gallery and our friend Paul W. They'll be down in the description as well as the link to the Amazon page for DSP in the Quest of the Golden Boar. You can find the Kindle version or the paperback down in the description. You guys are, if you guys feel inclined to support Paul and his endeavors on that. And that's basically it, guys. Like I said, I'll add more people down below as time goes on. Definitely need to put James Lester down there for sure, and Ghostly Wins, just to name a few. But yeah, so thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it, and I'll see you guys for the next one. This is DSP News 2nd edition. Take care of yourselves, guys. Because I'm a man and I have a business. I love that. I should clip that shit.